Hello and welcome to your astrological vibrations for Monday, July 29th, 2024 by Gaia Blooming. I'm Mimi and our energy mantra for today is I am response-able for my inner child. I have to tell you, as I look at today's astro, I'm like, it's kind of meh, but I have really good cards. So the cards are like, no, this is good, we got this. So, kicking off our Monday, we start with the Moon and Uranus conjunct. And that's one of my that energy can be super triggery. The Moon represents our emotions, but it also can represent our psyche and our unconscious, subconscious energy. And Uranus loves to poke the bear. Uranus loves to poke the Moon. Uranus loves to be like, there's your blind spot, there's your blind spot, there's your blind spot. Push the button until it hurts kind of feeling. And so that's what we're waking up to on Monday morning. Now, when it comes to Uranus, there's a few keywords. One is like revolution, evolution. That's my expression of Uranus that I always use, the revolution, evolution. But Uranus can also be breakdown, breakthrough. And that is one of my cards for the day. Breakthrough. So just know that if you wake up feeling triggered, you're feeling challenged, your worth is feeling challenged, feeling financially challenged, feeling challenged around your gifts and talents, just even being here on Earth right now, there is some breakthrough for all of us. So I love that. We move from that into some lazy cat. We have the Moon connecting to Neptune. This is a great time for daydream, and sometimes it is the daydream. Sometimes it's the getting quiet and like getting kind of out of our thoughts and more into imagination that we actually have the breakthrough. So that could be part of that breakthrough energy. I have the consciousness card, and I think that this is like tuning into our higher consciousness and seeing like how our higher consciousness wants to help move and groove us on planet Earth at this time. So you may get a little dip in energy. Now that could be the lazy cat. It could also be that we have the Moon shifting signs. The Moon will be moving into Gemini. And so even though the Moon's making connection to Neptune, we go into that void moon state, which I found that people are usually lean a little bit more solar or lunar, and I find the lunar people, the Looney Tunes, I am one of them, I am a Looney Tune, are more affected by the transits of the Moon. So this is later in the afternoon that we might get a little dip. Moon moving into Gemini. I love Sun in Leo, Moon in Gemini. These energies together can have a lot of fun. But the Moon's making two challenging connections. The first one is with Pluto, and while it's a trine, which is a happy, easy, gentle, supportive connection, it's still Pluto. And so mentally, emotionally, we may have to face some things we don't want to necessarily face, right? Pluto wants to empower us, but it takes us to the places where we are not fully empowered. And so just recognize that, if you find a dip in your energy, in your emotions, in the places your mind is going, that could be Pluto being like, hey, have you looked at these? Have you looked at these shadows lately? Have you looked at these dust bunnies in your shadows lately? The other connection that we have in the evening is the Moon squaring Mercury. So it's a square, which again is a challenge. And this might be some mental challenges. I think the Moon in Gemini is like, I just want to like focus on the good and focus on the positive. And Mercury in not yet in retrograde. It'll be in retrograde on the 4th. Mercury in pre-retrograde is like, look at that dumpster fire. Look at that dumpster fire. Look at those dumpster fires that everybody on the internet is arguing about. The divide and conquer is working. So Mercury in Virgo may bring dumpster fire reality to the Moon in Gemini, which is like, I can't see you, la 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 la. However, I have to maintain the breakthrough card is here. So with all of this, there's opportunity for breakthrough. I love this card in the mix too, because this card, the abundance card, while it can represent abundance, it also represents balance, balancing in the physical and the spiritual. And I think when we get a little too focused on the dumpster fieriness, we need to remember to connect to the spiritual, and see what the universe is saying about all of these things unfolding, right? And see where our part is. And that's where I think empowerment is playing our part, rather than getting too caught up in all the divide and conquer out there. We can figure out what our part is and like live it loud. Very Leo, right? Let's look at these. Well, let's look at the rest of the week ahead just a little bit. Venus making some strong connections this week. Venus will be connecting to Chiron. Venus will be connecting to Uranus in a square. That's going to be Friday. That might be a little challenging. We're also going to be going into the dark of the moon. We have a new moon next Sunday, Sunday the 4th. We actually have Venus shifting signs on the 4th. We have Mercury going retrograde on the 4th, and we have a new moon on the 4th. So the 4th is going to have some action. Leading up to that, we're going to have that moon in Cancer. Dark of the moon in Cancer loves to bring the feels to the surface, so be aware of that. And that Venus-Uranus square is going to be in the heart of that dark of the moon in Cancer. You may have feels coming up about your relationship. Again, triggers around personal worth, around your inner child. All of that may surface. So just a little heads up for Friday fun. Let's look at the rest of these cards. I actually have, I love this. I have the King and the Queen of Pentacles right here. Abundance and flowering. So this to me feels like an assurance beyond the unfolding of everything right now. There is so much good here for us. There's so much abundance. There's so many ways that we in our physical can influence, can help shift the energies. But it's like being the willingness to be present here. Now, I know I said there might be some time for lazy cat and imagination. Absolutely. But maybe it's seeing yourself in these energies, rising up and trusting, I don't know, trusting your place in the world is kind of the essence that I'm getting. That to me feels like some ultimate breakthrough. I do want to mention, this was actually at the top of the cards, the laziness card today. So again, lazy cat, but this is also a card that's like, if you can daydream it, you can have it. And there's power in the daydream. So yeah, be present in the physical, in your rising up, in your flowering. But, you know, this card's a reminder. Balance. I love, there's a quote from Rumi that's basically, I think it's actually Rumi's teacher. It's in one of my Rumi books, but I think it's Rumi's teacher that told Rumi, like, you have to work as hard in the invisible as you do in the visible. And I think we spend a lot of time trying to move things around here. And that's why we're here. I think that's why we come back here, because we're like, I gotta be in the physical to, you know, make it happen. So we keep ending up over here doing the thing, right? But there's also effectiveness that we can do in our imagination in the etheric. And so it's finding what your personal balance is. And laziness card is like, don't forget to take your time there. That's part of rising up into the flowering. I'm going to remind you of the consciousness card too. Try to stay conscious through this, especially if you are finding yourself triggered. What is triggering you? Where do you feel it in your body? What is the root of this? And for you, what is the solution for you at this time? How can you work with it? And being that we are a sun in Leo right now, there's a good chance that your solution is tending to your inner child. So, should have a Care Bear hat on for that. We'll finish up with a little Care Bear hat. So, that's it for today. You can book a reading. Email me, mimiclark@gmail.com. And the better it gets, the better it gets. There's more than enough love in the world for you. You have the power. And remember who you are, for you are the solution. Namaste.